Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and we need to go ahead and create a couple of templates. So we're going to start off with a piece of cardstock. So this is just going to be a template for a pattern that we need to create. So we're going to create different size hexagons, and this is how we're going to do it. So you're going to start off with a piece of 7 1/8 by 6 1/4, and the 7 1/8 is going for the widthwise. So for this piece here, what you're going to want to do is find the center points on each side right here. So for the center points on that one, that is going to be coming down 3 1/8. So you're going to measure down 3 1/8 and make a little mark. And then if you want to be sure you're in the center, you can come up from 3 1/8, make sure you're at the center mark. Or if you have a centering ruler, you can go ahead and do the same thing and just do it at a 3 1/8 down here to find your center. So you're going to do that on both of those pieces, sides right there. So now what you want to do is go across the top. So for this one here, we are going to measure over 1 7/8 and make a mark. And then from this side over 1 7/8. Okay. And then the same thing for the bottom. And over here. All right, so you have a tick mark here, 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 and here. So now what you want to do is we're going to go ahead and connect the dots. So from the center down, that's the first one. And then you're going to do the same thing here from this center up. And then this side. And over here. Just like that. And then all you're going to do is cut them out. So let me just do that real quick. I'll just use my craft knife. And then over here. And then last one. Okay. So this is going to be the large hexagon. Now we need to go ahead and create 2 more different sizes. All right, so put that one aside, and now we need another piece. Let me get my notes. So this one I am going to call hexagon number 1. So for this piece here, it needs to be 2 5/8 by 2 1/4. So 2 5/8 lengthwise and 2 1/4 like this. All right. And then, oh, I should just write down this one. If you want, label it number 1. All right. So what you want to do on this one, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to find our center. So considering it is 2 1/4, 1 1/8 is going to be your center point. So you would measure down 1 1/8, make a mark. Same thing on this side, 1 1/8, make a mark, or use your centering ruler. Same thing though, put it at 1 1/8 on your ruler, and you should be the same equal sides, put a mark. This one here now, to go from edge in, you're going to go 5/8 of an inch in, and that would be the one little tick mark past a 1/2 inch if you're not sure. And on the bottom, and then same thing right here. Okay, and then we're going to just do the same thing again. line up all our spots. Just like that. And then I can actually just use scissors because this one's small. Okay. And that is that one. All right. And then we have one more to do, a smaller one. So this one here, we're going to do this one. This is going to be hexagon 2. So we'll go number 2, just so you know. And then this one is 2 1/8 by 1 7/8. And for this one, 7/8 is your center point. So let me just double check that. No, it's not. All right, so this one's a little odd because of my ruler. So we're going to go do it this way. 7/8 from the top, and then we're going to do 7/8 from the bottom. So if you do 7/8 up, you have this tick mark. 7/8 from here down, you have that tick mark. So go to the center of that. So let me get a different color pen. So I'm just eyeballing the center with that green dot in the center there. And that will be your center spot. So let's do it again. I didn't think it was right when I was figuring it out before. I was like, how can it be 1 7/8 and only 7/8 to the center? So that's where you would play into the 16th, but this doesn't have 16th, so doing it the next best thing. All right, so I know you really can't see the green too much on there, but we're doing in the center right there. I can see it's green, so when I draw my lines, I will know that. And then we're going to go 1/2 inch over on all the sides. Okay, and I have those marks. And then now I'm going to line them up to my green mark. Okay, and that's what I have now. And same thing, just going to trim it up. And there we go. So that's what you've created now. So these are your little templates. And we're going to go ahead and cut some chipboard. All right, so I went ahead and cut out my pieces. So what you're going to need is from hexagon number 1, you need 4 pieces cut. And from hexagon number 2, you also need 4 pieces cut. And from the large one, you need to cut 2. So now what you may notice is if you line this up right now, this looks all good. Looks fairly even. But however, if you were to turn it just a little, you will notice that things don't exactly line up the way they should. And that's just because of how it's cut. See, like this right here, you can see it's not even close. So I'm going back to where it was. So right here is what I have. So this right here is how it lines up. Whoops. Yeah, this one's how it lines up, just like that. So I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to take a marker, and we want to cut these in half. So I'm just going to put a little T for top, just so I know the direction I have to cut. So for this one here, and you're going to do both of these pieces the same way, what you need to do is cut this in half. So I'm going to cut from here to here. So that's why I labeled this the top, because I knew like what direction I needed to cut. And you're just going to cut these two pieces directly in half. Okay. So again, this is the one with the T. And this one right here, the T is up here. So again, cutting in half. Okay. So now I'm going to turn this back around. So the T is right here, and we get this piece back. Don't need my template now. So these two pieces here both have the T. These two line up together with each other perfectly. So you're going to keep both of those, and then these two pieces also line up. So if you're trying to line up, for example, like this, you can see it's off just a little. But if you take the piece, these ones now line up pretty perfect to each other. And this is what you're going to need, because these eventually are going to be tops and bottoms. And we need to have those, we need the top and the bottom to be the same size. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put these little pieces aside. Let's work on this piece right here. And for this piece, we need to get a couple of pieces of chipboard. So let me get you some measurements. Yep. So you need one piece of chipboard that is going to be 7 by 7. Just double check. Yeah. 7 by 7. And you need two pieces that are going to be 7 by 3 and a half. Oops. Okay, that's what you need. So this is what we're going to work on right now. So let me just move all this other stuff out of the way. All right. Now, one thing you need to do before that you get too far with this piece here is we need to make some lines, because we need to find our center. So let's just do that real quick. And to do that, I'm just going to draw an X. Okay. Right there is my center, and I need to cut a hole in it. And I'm just going to use this. And this is what I have right now. So I want to make it a little bigger, because this is this part where the clock is going to go through. And when I went ahead and created kind of a prototype of this, I use these pieces here. So that's why you can see where I pulled tape off. But I just guessed too, I got it. My fake little clock I drew. So we want to find the hole. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So see, now I just have it a little bit bigger, and that way I can go ahead and put the center of the clock piece through there. And I think that's good like that. So just a bunch of little holes. We can always chisel away at it later. I don't want to make it too big, because I don't want anything to fall through. but I just want to go ahead and put this in here now because it will just make it easier for when you need to actually go find the hole. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create some paper hinges and we'll get started. All right, so I cut out some construction strips, and these happen to be 1 1/4 by 7, so I did the height of this, and then I scored in the middle at 5/8 of an inch, so you can see that there. And then I just put tape on it, and I made sure the tape just didn't go into where I want to fold it. So get those ready. Okay. And we're good. So now we can go ahead and attach. I just want this to be on the inside, so I just don't want to see that. So what you're going to do is I'm going to trim back. Okay. And actually I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to stick this on. Just like that. And then remove the tape. And this guy, I'm going to butt it up nice and tight, just like that. So then when you go to fold it, it will fold nice like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm just going to flip it over. Guess I didn't need the other one right now, but I will use it. Okay. And same thing. Just like that. Yeah, this one is, well, let's get all mine writing the same direction. Just like that. So this is what we have right now, and this is going to be the angle of it. And then this piece will go on like this. And then you'll access the clock part from the back. All right, so let's go ahead and stick this one on. Okay, so let's flip this one up. So I'm just going to rotate it, and then this guy is going to go right there. And I do need to cut another one. Like that. And then this one here. Lining it up so you can see it's exactly the 7 inches top to bottom. And we're going to end up sticking these guys down. So let me go ahead and add the bottom one. Alright, so now I have this guy. And same thing. And is this the one I was using? Must be. Oh, it does have my T in it. And stick it down. So this now will be what we have. So don't worry too much if like your pieces overhang a little bit like that. It's the back side, so you're not even going to see it. I'm not going to worry about it. If you wanted to, you could trim off a little bit of it. Let's see. Well, do I want to? We could trim. So I'm going to trim very little just to shorten it up a bit. So looks like about there. You don't have to trim it, you can leave it, but if the overhang is going to make you crazy, by all means trim that up. So yeah, see, now we're nice and squared off there, and nice and squared off there. So now let's do the bottom. So you can see roughly how much you got to pull off right there. Let's see now. Pretty good. Pretty good. So you can see that there. All right, so now I need to go ahead and make some more strips. So these strips are going to be roughly 3 1/4. All right, so I have my hinges that are 3 1/4, and I'm just trimming them up. Okay. And now we can stick them down. So let's put them on here. So I'm making the score line up. Oops. So the score line on this fold is lined up with the chipboard there and there. Okay. And then we'll do this side. All right, so this is what we have right now. So as you can see, there you go. See a little bit better. So this is what I have right now. That drives me crazy. So now what we're going to do is just go ahead and bring these in and attach them. So just lining it up, and then with my finger underneath, stick part of it and then the rest of it. And then any spacing here, don't worry about. We're going to cover it over with some finishing hinges so it will all look nice and pretty. So, okay. And then the same thing here. And this side. All right, and then this is what we have. This is the back side, and then this is the front side, and it's going to sit, this will be the top part of our clock, and it's going to sit up like this, and then the back will leave open, and that's where you can access the back of the clock with the battery and stuff. If you want, you can go ahead and cover it in with just some black cardstock over here if you want to, but it's up to you. And then we'll put some finishing hinges all over here and make all that nice and pretty. Actually, if you wanted to, I was just thinking, instead of leaving it open, we could put a little door, and then we can just use some seam binding to close it. And then when we want to access it, we could just untie it and flip it open. So let me get some measurements, and we'll just throw a little door on there. All right, so actually, which I should have thought about it, it's also 7 by 3 1/2 because our octagon shape, these sides and the back, it's all the same size. So should have dawned on me that it was 7 by 3 1/2. So because I am making a door, I want to clean up all the edges on it. So you know how when you make the album covers, you pre-wrap them? So that's what I want to do with this, because I want to make sure we have nice clean edges. So I applied score tape to the whole back. And actually, let me trim that. All right, so it's 2 inches bigger, so it's 5.5 by 9. And then we're going to put this in the center. I'm using these amazing little spacers from Country Craft Creations. And we're just going to stick it in. Okay. Just like that. And I don't need those. And let's just trim it up. So again, any kind of tools and stuff that I use, you can look down in the description box and you can find all the information there. Unless I'm using something completely new, 99% of the time you will find what I'm using down there, because I generally get a lot of questions as to what tools I use. So everything is down in the See More portion of the description box. And of course, a lot of tape. You can use any kind of adhesive that you prefer to use. I just prefer to use score tape because it's the easiest for me to remove if I make a mistake instead of starting a project all over again. Such as this one here, I did like the prototype, and I just saved the pieces and then just removed the tape that I had on them. All right, so now I'm going to trim my corners. If you don't have a trimmer like this, what you could also do is just take and trim just like that, and you can see the spacing right there, just like that, and you can just trim it across. However, as you know, I love to use tools. Anything to make my life easier. Okay. And just fold it all up, get it burnished in with itself. And here it is. Fold that down. The only thing that's not in my description box for tools is this little bone folder that I'm using. I can't remember where I got it, and I honestly think I may have received it as a free gift from something. Whether it was a scrapbooking convention thing I went to or something I ordered. I like this little guy. I've not been able to find one like it. I have others. I have this one here, which I think is from Bone Folder, but I just happen to like this guy better. You know how we always have our favorite tools to use. This, I'm just going to take my corners and just smush them in. And go ahead. And sometimes too, I actually have to trim with the pair of scissors off this corner because I use it so much. It actually kind of files itself down. So sometimes I have to go in and actually trim that. And that's why I was trying to find another one that I liked. But I couldn't find one that one. Because this one here, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's a little more coarser, and then this one is like smoother. So I just like the smoother one better. And this one doesn't also have the nice point like this guy has. It's got a nice point. Unless it was one from the Bone Folder, because I did just notice that they both have this little star. You see it right there. So I don't know where I got it, but that's the only thing that's not in the description box. Alrighty, get the little bug. So now the door is going to go on, and I'm going to use some hinges, and we're just going to hinge it on, and then so you can see it lines up, and then it'll be all nice and pretty too. All right, so let me make a hinge that is going to be 7 inches. All right, so you're going to need 2 finishing hinges. So these are both, whoops, I did not cut that one right. These are both 7 inches, and let's trim them up a little bit. And we're going to put our door on. So to get started with it, with our door, first thing we're going to do is stick down a hinge over the side. And just want to give it a good stick. Okay. And now we're going to take our door, and our door should fit on nice like this. So we put the finishing hinge here because when our door swings back and forth, it will, you'll see the black on it instead. So now we want to go ahead and we're going to stick down the door first. Yeah, okay. So this I want to have on the inside so it'll be nice and clean. So I'm going to stick it this way. So now on this one here, I didn't go all the way up to the score line. If I fold it back, you can see it's overhanging a little bit because I didn't want the tape to show. So if I put it all the way up to it and then you swing the door open, you have a good chance of seeing the tape. So you can see that I kind of just put it up to the line of the tape itself, so you're not going to see that. So then to go ahead and put the door on, I'm going to take the tape off, and now it should fit in there nice. Oops. So I'm going to set it on, and when it looks like it's all nice and even to me, so it was a good thing we did trim up those pieces in the beginning. At the time, I did not know I was making a door, so my hand keeps getting stuck on that tape. Try it again. All right, so so that looks like it's lined up to me. I'm just going to kind of stick this down just a little bit to get it stuck. So see, it will swing open. And let's give it a good stick. And there you go. So now we'll have a nice door. We'll put some little seam binding for a closure over here. We can go ahead and finish off all this part here, so it'll be nice and cleaned up. So just doing the same thing with some finishing hinges. I'm just going to go right around to there, but that's how the top part will be, and it will be access to the clock mechanism. Alright, so I have some finishing hinges I just made up. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing with you because it's the same thing doing all of it. So I'm going to show you a couple and then explain it to you, and then you can just go ahead and work on it. Alright, so with your finishing hinges, you're going to go ahead and cut them the that you need. So for example, like this. So this one here would go on like this, and you would just stick it down. Now sometimes you don't always get your hinges to cover all of the chipboard, so what you want to do before you put any hinges on is just go in and with a Sharpie and just go ahead and hit those little corner areas just in case it doesn't cover it all the way. here. Just like that. All right. So then when you go ahead and put them on, if you have any that aren't showing, or aren't covering rather, and showing your chipboard, you can go ahead and just hit it with a Sharpie. You can do it after too if you want. Sometimes I do it both because I'm not sure what is going to get covered and what isn't going to get covered. So you can just go around to all of your corners and do that. Oops, I'm going to put this piece on, so I need to get up here. Okay. All right, that looks good. So to go ahead and do the finishing hinges, like I said, you're going to go ahead and cut out a piece and you're going to stick it on. So let's get one side stuck down. Make sure I'm lined up. And stick it like that. And then I always like to, before I stick the other side down, is to go through and just burnish it on, and then burnish it like around, so I'll get a nice good stick on that. So, and then I can just go ahead and do that, make it look pretty. And then same thing up here. So as you can see, I'm kind of covering that, but you can see where, whoops, it slipped. So you can see a little bit of it is going to show. So that's why you just want to go in with the Sharpie and trim all that up, make it pretty. And then just kind of fold it over. And there you go. And then the next piece over the top will kind of hide that. And then it also makes your box stronger too. If you wanted to, you could always run a bead of glue down here first before you put your hinge on, and then put your hinge on. That would also strengthen it up too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, add all my finishing hinges to this part, and then we'll start working on the bottom half, which basically is the same assembly that we just did, except for we're going to be using, we will be doing 3 pieces like this and leaving the front open. All around here. So that's what we've got. So now we're going to work on the bottom half, and we're going to use the 2 bottom pieces that we have the other halves of our piece, and then you need 3 pieces that are 3.5 by 12. We have these ones, and then I have some hinges that are also 12 inches and 3.5. So let's go ahead and get started. So these are all going to line up like that. So let's get this started. Now we're going to build this one the same way we built the top piece. So get started here. Like that, and I have to snip that off. I didn't have it quite lined up so you can see the overhang, so I'm just going to snip that. And then this piece, we're going to put it on, line it right up. Okay, and then one more. And this one. And then these right on top. And then this side. And nothing overhanging on either one. So then this is going to basically be like this, and then these pieces are going to go on top just like that. And let's see first. So it looks like I'm going to have to center it to this face because you can see, let's see, you can see right here, if I put it on, just, oops, get it in the camera, right here, it's not quite as long as this, so it did end up a little shorter, but I'm not going to worry about it because we just can use the hinges to hide everything. Yeah, that was, yep. All right, so we'll just use the hinges to hide it all. So the same thing, we'll flip it this way and get a 3.5 inch hinge. And stick it right under. And then I'm just going to find the center. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side. Is this one also? Yeah, that one is the same. So I'll find the center on that one. Okay, and stick this one down. Okay, flip it over. And let's get rid of some of this mess. All right, and now we will need our hinges. So now do we stick out? Looks like we do. Again, just double check. Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and slice off about the same that we sliced off on the lower pieces. So, looks like about there. So you can see how small that piece is. Now let's do this one. Okay. And do we line up now? That looks good. And that one looks good. You can see the gaps here. So, and then if I can get this one, there's a little bit more of a gap on the bottom that you can see, but like I said, the finishing hinges will cover all of that. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get these guys going. Oops, and last one. Okay, so for this one here, we are going to go ahead and attach them, doing the same thing. So let's put them on this piece. Whoops, wrong side. If you want to, you could even just stick it on like that. So you can also fold it in half and then line it up like that. And last one. Go from the outside in. Okay. And then the same thing as before, we're just going to bring them up so you can get them to line up. That one. So I'm making sure I'm lining up to this part here. And then pushing it down. That way we will stay all squared off nice and neat. Like that. So I'm bringing it up. Sticking it down. And the last one, same thing. So if I go just like this, it doesn't quite line up, but I just give it a little push in. Oops. And then get it to line up where I want it. So this is what we have right now. Looks like a tub. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again with all my finishing hinges to go ahead and seal it up just like the other one. Alright, so I have all of my hinges on, as you can see. And this is going to be set like this, and then this will be on top, but of course I'm going to run out of camera space, so we're going to pretend like it is standing. And then this is what it will look like when it is standing. And then you can see this part here will have a clock, and then the bottom part is where we'll put like decorations and things like that. But that's what we have. And what we can do now is we can actually go ahead and attach these two on here just like that. So I'm going to use glue, and then I'm going to hold it to stick it on. So I think I'm going to add a little bit of tape. Let's see, hold on. How about my door? Actually, the door makes it level. Oh, the door represents this piece here, so we're at the same height. So let's get some tape on it. And then we'll add glue as well. And that's just to hold it in place while the glue dries. And the glue. And that should be good. So this is going to go down, and then we're just going to line them up even. Stick it down. And then see, that lines up too with the door. So I didn't even plan that, that just happened. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and get some more pieces set up. And I can feel it with my fingers, so everything lines up good. So we'll get some more pieces and we'll get to cutting. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get started on these pieces here. I know it's going to be hard to see, but these are kind of like our tower stands. So we have two sizes, so the smaller one and the bigger one, and this is going to help weight down the tower from tipping or anything like that, so it's not top heavy. So to do the bottom one, you are going to need 12 pieces of chipboard that are 12 by 1 1/4, and then you're going to need 2 pieces of your smaller template number 1. And I have 6 hinges here. These are 1 1/4 by 12. And we're going to get started putting these on. So let me go ahead real quick and trim all these up. Okay, they are all set. So we're going to start off by the first piece, and we're going to go ahead, whoops, I got 2, and we're going to set it right on top, and we're going to line it right up to the score line. Just like that. And then we're just going to continue on adding these one by one. And you want to butt it up right tight. Just like that. Don't worry about if you get anything excess overhanging, like that right there. We will trim that off when we're all done. So, or we'll trim it off before we go ahead with the next step, that is. So you just want to focus on make sure your chipboard here and here line up. And if they don't, if you do have to, then you could just go in and trim it up with a craft knife. And the assembly for the longer one and the shorter one is the exact same way. So the shorter one, let me just show you real quick. So the shorter one, you're going to use the smaller template number 2, and those you need to cut 6 of them at 1 by 7. So that's for the smaller one. And I'll go ahead and mention that one again when we get there. But I'm probably not going to show you how to do the smaller one because it's exactly how to do the bigger one. So if you get confused, just watch the longer one again. And just pretend like we're cutting the smaller one. So you can see right here, I'm lined up, but this is overhanging. So we'll have to trim that up because all this looks good up here, except for that one too. So I can show you how to trim those. Okay, and number 6. Okay, so first thing we can do is trim away the cardstock. So any cardstock that's overhanging. So you can see those little pieces there. And over here. So I have to trim just a tad, so I'm just going to take this. And you shouldn't have to trim very much. If you have to trim a lot, then maybe you cut something wrong. So you can see those little bits right there. And just that last one. Okay. So you can see, trim very thin little pieces. So now we can go put this hinge on. And then I can see that this one is clearly overhanging. So we can trim this one now. And then what we're going to do is, this is this part. So we can fold this back. So this is the hinge we just put on. Let's do it now one more. Because everything's going to, we're going to go ahead and make our tower. So we'll just fold it over the one, and then what we're going to do is bring this over. And we're going to just stick it right on top of that hinge. So now this is what we have. So you can see this is going to be our little tower piece. And we need to go ahead and attach these guys right on top. So let me get some cardstock. All right, so I'm taking my two templates number one, or not my templates, but the pieces I cut out using template number one. And I have a piece of cardstock. This is just 5 by 5. I added score tape to the whole back, and I'm going to set it right in the center. Just like that. Make sure it's burnished down. And then we'll do the same thing to this one. Okay. And we need to draw some lines. So we're going to draw a 1/2 inch line all the way around. This isn't working. Okay. Just like that. Okay, and then we can do the same thing to the other one. I don't know if that was too much shadow. So, whoop. I think I'm going to need a new pencil. Nope, it's no good. Let's try a pen. Right, I can see it. You won't be able to see it though. All right, so once you have your marks all the way around, just go ahead and trim them. And they're just a guide, so they don't have to be perfect. We're actually, once we attach this, they're going to be covered over. And then we need to add some score tape. This score tape will probably be the best. I'm not really sure if gluing is the best bet for this part. So what I'm doing is just lifting up my score tape to show that, and then just gonna attach all the way around. And last one. Okay, so now what you need to do is you're going to take this piece here and we're going to make some cuts. So from here to here, we are going to cut straight in parallel line to this piece here. And then you can rotate it, and in parallel to that line, and you're going to actually take these off and try not to pull them because you don't want to tear your paper. So I'm just going to go through and do all one direction. So I'm cutting straight in line to that part. And then turn it, and then I'm going to cut it straight to this one. Oops. So now it's going to kind of look like a little flower. So what you want to do is now you can go ahead and kind of just burnish these up against the side. Oops. That way they're all creased. So you have them like that. Okay, and then what you're going to do is take your piece now and you're going to lay it on top. And you're going, so these two obviously are going to be the same shape. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to put it on. And if I look up, whoops, I don't know if I can turn it. So if I look up, you can see how that is going to line up with the edge. So what I'm going to do first is stick one of them down, make sure I'm lined up. And take the tape off. And I'm just kind of lightly sticking it because I can't really push. You can go like this now and push. And then I'm going to rotate it all the way around to the opposite side now, and I'm going to put this one on and make sure that those two pieces, let's see, I'm going to make sure that that lines up like that. And then I can just start spinning it around and making sure everything is going to line up. So again, I'm just going to keep working opposite sides all the way around. And then I just have the two left. So you can see now, and this is sitting on top. So this piece here, this piece is sitting on top of this. So you can see that piece right there. So it sits on top. And as long as you trimmed them all up, they should all line up. So once you have that on, you can go ahead and burnish. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing for the bottom piece. I can't wait to see this decorated. And this is the Halloween one. You might be seeing this for part of the Christmas version. I am doing a little something different to the Christmas one, which will be fun. So you may hear me refer to Halloween or Christmas. Most of the assembly will be the same for the Christmas one, with the exception of one spot. So I will probably use these videos in the Christmas one. So now I'm going to trim this up. So when I was doing this one, I had a really neat idea, and I'm not going to spoil it in case I put this one out before the Christmas. Well, this one definitely will be up for the Christmas one. But I have an alternative version for the Christmas because I know not everybody is Halloween. But I feel like if you don't see the Christmas style that I want to do, sometimes projects get stuck for whatever theme they're originally made for. So we're going to step it up and do Christmas. So that one's done. Fold all those, and then now the same thing. I'm going to flip it upside down. And this is just going to go on top. Same deal. And then all the way around to get the other side. That way you know you're going to be lined up. So if you're going back and forth like this, if you were to do it all, like say all clockwise or something, it's possible that you may not line up, and this way you know as you go you are lining them up. And then this one, and then over here. Okay. Okay, and then one other thing you might want to do before we do the next step is get a Sharpie and just hit these little areas, just in case our finishing hinges don't cover it. And it's easier to get this now than later. If you forget, you can always try to do it with a Sharpie, or just get a very tiny paintbrush and some black paint, and you can fill it in that way too. Alright, and almost done. Alright, so before you go crazy putting hinges on all of this, we do have to do something a tad different, because one of our hinges are also going to be how we assemble this to the tower. So let me tell you how many you need to cut. So they're going to be the same size, 1 1/4, and then score down halfway down the middle. And you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So you're going to need to cut 7 hinges that are 12 by 1 1/4. And then go ahead and trim them up, so I'll show you. Alright, so I have all my hinges cut out and trimmed up. And we're going to start putting these on that tower piece. And you do have one extra, and that's part of the assembly to attach it to the tower. Okay, just bending these back real quick. Alright. Alright, so now we're going to take a piece. And I'm going to set it on, making sure lined up. So do one at a time and then do the other. And before I stick that down, I like to just take and burnish it right in, just in case I didn't get it exactly lined up on the score line. Okay. And the next one. Now make sure you don't get ahead of yourself and do all of them. You want to stop when you have one left if you decide to go ahead. So lining that up there. And if you have it, if you left the tape on one part, you can kind of stick the bottom up, or stick the part with the tape. You can use that as a guide, and then get the other part stuck down. So I'm taking the tape off this and then putting my corner in, making sure I'm lining up end to end. And the part with the tape that's still attached, I can hold it down here and then I can feel with my fingers that I'm in the right spot, and then stick the sticky part down, if that makes sense. And if you do overhang with your hinges, just trim it, although you shouldn't, because you have the height of those little base pieces now added to the top of your tower pieces. So unless you put it on crooked or cut it longer than 12 inches, you should be good. All right, one last one that we're completely putting on. Okay, so those are all on. So now you should have 2 hinges left, these 2 here. So what you're going to do with these is you want to fold it so you can see this, and then you're going to set it on just like this so you can see this. So let's do it together first. I'll show you. So this is what I have, folding it like this. Okay, and I'm going to set it right to the edge of the chipboard. So you can see I'm lined up right. So we're looking at this side of the chipboard, so you can see where it's lined up, just like that. So stick that one down. And now we're going to do the same thing with this one. So right now you can see the flap. So this is where we would have normally put it on this side like this, but we're not. So you can see that. And now we're going to do the same thing to this side. So this one here is going to go right on top. So you can see, so this is what we have now. So right there, make sure both of these are down. So this is what's going to get attached to our tower. So this piece here is going to get set in like this, and then we're just going to attach. So it's going to be hard to see, but we can try it and see. So let's do, which way? All right, we're going to attach the back first. All right, so let's do the back. So this is the sticky part. And if I just set it so the center part right here is going to be right up against this edge. So because they're both the same height, I can just kind of push it right in. And I can feel it going in there. So this part here is actually kind of going into the two pieces of the chipboard right here because it's kind of got a little channel. So I can kind of feel it just kind of go right in there. So once I know it's in, I'm using my thumb and I'm just going to kind of push it down to get it tacked in there. So I've only done one side. You're going to do one at a time. Okay. And then this one here. So when you put this hinge down here, this determines like how much it will stick in and out, kind of. So if I hold it where I want to keep it, which you can kind of see like this. I don't want it to attach to the back like that because then it does no purpose of hiding behind the back. So if I bring it to right where I want it, and if I hold it, I can just go ahead and attach it, and the way it's taped, it should kind of hold itself there. So I want this one. I want them kind of to the forward front. So you can see now, because it's kind of there, it's not solid, but it doesn't want to go backwards because I taped it in the direction that I want it. So kind of have like this here. So they're kind of to the front. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to make this one, the smaller one, the same way. And then I'll come back when I go to attach it to the top part. When I go to attach it up there on the top part there. All right, so go ahead, do the same thing. So you're going to need your finishing hinges, or your binding hinges and your finishing hinges. Make them 1 by 7, almost the same size as this, and then score it in half, because if you do the 1 1/4, you're going to end up with a lot of overlapping, and you don't really want too much overlapping because it's going to change the dimensions. So go ahead and just make hinges 1 by 7, same size as this, and then score your hinges in half, and then just use those to attach to the other. All right, so for my, excuse me, I couldn't pause it quick enough. I had to sneeze. So for my outside hinges, I did these at the same 4 1/4, 1 1/4, like I did for the other one, for the larger one, because it doesn't overlap too much this way. It's just the inside ones you don't want a lot of overlapping because it might be hard to shape it. So the outside ones are still the 1 1/4. I went ahead and did do the black Sharpie on it. Now I'm going to attach the binding hinges. Just like that. So you have this one here, and then I'm going to put the one on the top. So same thing right here. You can see just where that is. Just give it a burnish so my tape is stuck. And we're going to do the same thing. So this is going to, let's see, I am right at the camera. Is going to go right on like this. So we're going to attach that back side first, and this one here sits right on top of this. So if you can see right here, and one is a little different, and they do still move independently right now. We will permanently attach those down after we put some pattern paper on this part here. So, and this is going to go on, so same thing. So give it a test run. Looks good. So remove this. And sure it's good. So I'm putting the back side down first. And then the front side, you can see right here. Here's the front side. And I'm going to put it where I want it. So this is the position I want it, right on top of this one. So I'm going to hold it there. And then now, that's how you have that like that. And because I'm doing it at night, I get nice little bugs. So he's just going to fly around. All right, so anyway, we have that part done. So that's how you do the pillars for our tower. Okay, time for the fun part. So we're going to start to decorate. So she is going to be the top part for my clock. She is going to go right up here on this piece. So what I did was I measured to see what size I needed. So I need 6 3/4 by 6 3/4, and that will fit right in there just like that. Perfect. So I wasn't sure at first how much I was going to need to cut. So this is from the 8x8 paper pad. This is the only piece I'm pulling out, I think, from the 8x8. I'm not sure. I'll see. But at the moment, this is the piece I'm pulling out because I want this image for the top of my clock. So I took and cut out a sample piece of the 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. And I traced it around on here and cut it out. And I wanted to see how much of this I needed because this is I didn't want to trim it off and lose like the top part of the witch or the whole part of the moon. And I wanted to see how much of the house I was going to keep. So this hole here is the 6 3/4 by 6 3/4 size. So I can go ahead and line it up and see. So I actually think I'm going to be good. So the main edge of the paper over here, if I put that right there, just like that, I get almost this full image. And then the center, so let me just see the center real quick, because I want to see where my clock hands go. So I go like this. And I'm going to punch a hole right in the center, because I think it's going to be by that ghost. And let's see. So I know right here, this will be the edge, so it'll be easy to come over to the 6 3/4 and cut right there. And the bottom part, I think I need to take off a little bit off the bottom. So this lines up like that. So looks like right up to that bottom part of the step. So if I take a 1/2 inch off the bottom, off the bottom, that would be lined up. And my center, so I want to see where that's going to fall. So it's right by the edge of the moon. So that will be the center point. And then, yeah, so that's perfect. So it'll work around the hands. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off the bottom. And then I'll measure up the 6 3/4. So this guy's a little big, but this way you can see what I'm doing, in case you want to cut this one too. So 6 3/4, like that. And this is an 8 sheet, so if I go down to 7 1/2, because I need to cut a 1/2 inch off the bottom, so I go at 7 1/2. So I have that, and then I can flip it all the way around and get my 6 3/4 And I can feel on my cutter, we're right there. So it's perfect. And then right here would be the center for my clock hands, or my clock parts. So let's just double check. This, well, turn it this way. We'll go right in here. And all right, so I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edges and tape it down. So I'm going to use Distress Black Soot. And that will just get away any of the white edge. And let's get some tape. So to put this down the way I like to tape, I'm going to want to stick the top first. So if I'm sticking the top first, that's going to be my first piece of tape. And I'll just show you this piece here, and then I can kind of show you the other. I don't know if you really need to see all of that, but maybe I'll just record and speed it up as I go. So I want to make sure I have strips of tape going across, because I don't want any of this to pull up from the clock face. So I want to make sure that it is good and secure. You can also use glue if you prefer glue. So, and let's see. I want to make sure it's centered. Looks good. So I'm going to lift it up and just remove the tape from one part. It's so dark right here, I can't see. Okay. And that's down, so now I can just stick the rest down. And I can see I didn't get the tape stuck because it's trying to come off the paper. And give it a good burnish. And because I have my little door in the back, I can push down on it. All right. So now I can see where that is. And I am going to get a pokey tool. And I am just going to, I'm going to hold it so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to give a little poke through. Just like that. And you can see right there where I put the little hole. Alright, so now I'm going to figure out what to do with the rest. We might have to mount this on something because I kind of want to do a little scene with it, so I might do a little base. But I think I can put all my paper on first because I don't think it's going to affect anything by doing that. Okay, so this is the piece that I'm going to use for the middle part here down below. And So this is looking at the whole sheet as it is because I have cut this. So the pieces I need to cover the insides are 3 1/4 by 11 3/4. So I went ahead across the top to trim off my 1/4 inch up here. And I like her on this side and her over here. So I cut off 3 1/4 from this side and 3 1/4 from that side. And then for this, I already had her all over it, so I wanted this little pretty lady here for my centerpiece. So that's what I have. And move those aside. So she is going to go right in here. She will go in the middle. And this one will go on right there. So that's how those are going to line up. All right, so she's now in the bottom and then our top. So now I have to go ahead and put something down on the bottom here and then figure out what I'm doing for my towers. Cut the paper, I cut it so I could keep the pattern going. So you can see it just kind of wrap around like that. And this is what the front looks like. So it's coming out very pretty. I like the colors. So then for the top part, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. It's actually more green. It's coming up like super blue. But it's the green in this will match the green in this. Or with the camera showing it, blues, but it's not. It's green. And seeing how it's supposed to be up further in the sky, I figured the stars will kind of look good. So I'll be cutting that and wrapping it around there. So right, that's where we're at. I did mess around a little bit with the clock part just to see how it would look if what I had was going to fit, and it does. So I'll show you that afterwards. But I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces here. And I don't know how well you're going to see it. So at the dollar store, I picked up these cute little cauldrons. And I thought those were cute. And those are actually, my door keeps getting caught. So those are actually going to sit up on the top of it. And I figured that would look really cute right there. And then in the bottom part will be my little witch brooms, and they'll kind of hang out there. And then I have some other stuff that I'm going to throw in there from my stash. And then I still, oh, my brooms are falling apart. I still have to decide what I'm going to do about a base for it, because I think it needs a base. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Part on. So what I picked up was this clock at Michael's. So this is it. And if you want to see the barcode right here, the number on it, the SKU number is 267466, in case you want to get one of those. And it doesn't say what size it is, but these are the clock hands, and these do fit the clock. I wanted to make sure, so I did try it out already. So I'm just going to show you how to go ahead and put it on. So when you get it, you'll have this little rubber washer in the clock part. I'm just going to put the washer on the back side just like that. And let's see how I can turn it so you can see it. So it's going to be upside down. So what I'm going to do is take this piece right here, and I'm going to pop it up through the back, just like this, through the hole. Let's see if we can get in a little closer. Oops. Kind of get it in the middle. So I have this part right here where the clock piece is, and you have this washer. So that's going to go on top. So that will help too if you made your hole just a little too big. The pieces here will keep it together. And then you have this piece here, which is a little washer. Or not a washer. That was the washer. This is a little, the nut part that screws on. So you're going to put it all the way down. And make sure it's nice and tight. You can set this down. And then the next piece is this part here, which you have the little octagon shape. And that is going to be the piece that goes on top right here. And I do need to hold it so I don't push through my piece here. So sometimes this piece is a little harder to get on. So what I like to do is, if I can find it, I have a little pair of tweezers and I'm just pushing on the sides of it to try to push it down. And when it doesn't easily come off, you can kind of touch it. If it's not on all the way, it's going to fall. Let me turn my sound off. Okay, and then your next piece is going to be this one right here. And this one here has, you can see the shape of that one. And this one will fit on one way onto that. So you just find where it fits. And it's a little loose because then you have an even tiny little nut right there. That's going to go on the top. There you go. And then the last piece is the second hand right here. And this has the little post. You can see it right there. And that just goes down right on top. Push it in. And there you go. And that's it. So let me turn it around. So now you can see the clock part. And if I can get my hand wherever the piece is, you can see you can spin it. Alrighty, so that's how you put that part on. So the only thing left now, what I'm going to do is, so you can see the back right here where the clock part is. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cover all this with cardstock. And on these two pieces here, I'm going to put a string closure to tie that up. So I'll put my cardstock on the other part here, and then this one. And then I will show you how to do the closure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add our tie closure. So the tower parts of this guy right here are protecting the hands from getting smushed. As long as I don't push down too hard and make them fall in, my clock hands will be okay. Although you may want to do this prior to putting your clock hands on. So what I'm going to do is get my ruler and a pen. And we are going to go ahead and mark down. So this right here, this piece here is 7 inches. So 3.5 is going to be the middle. So making sure that's not gonna, let's see, I just don't want my clock hands to get smushed. So 3.5 down is the middle there, and I'm going to do the same thing on the side. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is, now I need my tape. Is I'm going to, let's cut a piece so I don't have to press on it. So I'm going to put that right in the middle. And let's cut another one. I'll press it down afterwards when I can stand it up. So remember, this part here is the door. And then I'm just going to put this one right like that. So let me just give it a good burnish. Okay. And I have some seam binding hiding underneath. So I have the black. So I'm going to go ahead and let's stick some down. So I'm going to put it right here. And I need to be able to tie a bow, so just guessing. I can trim it down afterwards. So that looks about good. So you can see how much I have. And I'm making sure it's going to stay straight. And I'm going to add that there. Okay, that's my extra. And I already have my pieces cut, so I can go ahead, and I already did attach score tape to the back, so I can put those on. So let's do the outside first. So when I stick it on, I just kind of fold over like that, just so I can get it lined up even. So I make sure I am even where I want it. When it looks good, I'll just put a little pressure on that part, and so it doesn't move. Okay, and then what I want to do for the closure part is I want to add some glue. So I'm going to remove my tape first here. And then add some glue on top where the seam binding is. So you can see that right there. I just don't want it to come out. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So on this one, I am going to, let's see. I guess I could do the bottom. We'll see if I have enough space with it laying down. So I'm going to line it up where it looks good. Pressing that one down. And making sure I'm going to stay lined up. Okay, and then the same thing again. And some glue. Okay. And then all I can do now is just make this, hold it down, find where it comes together. Snip that a little bit. And then on the seam binding, just so it doesn't fray, I like to take and put a little knot in the end. And get it as close to the end so I don't lose any length, because this one isn't a very long one. And then this side. And don't worry, I heard you, pin in the glue bottle so we don't lose either the pin or it seals up. There we go. There's your little door for the clock, and then you can just go ahead and tie a little bow. And that will keep the door for the clock closed, and it looks pretty. And that's what we have right now. All right, so we will continue on. I need to add some paper to the bottom here, and then just something to finish off the top. So now I'm going to go ahead and on the bottom of this base right here, this piece here needs some paper as well as the inside top bottom of that clock piece. So this is the template we use to go ahead and make our base pieces. So it fits right in here. So again, some of the shapes don't exactly fit because you're making this by hand, so it's not 100% accurate. So keep spinning it around until you find which one will fit in there nice. And I think, okay, is this one over here. So that one seemed to fit pretty well. I am going to have to do some trimming on it to get it in there perfect. And then this is the direction I want my paper to go. So the pumpkins are this way. Oops, I already lost it. Is it this one? No. Yeah, it was this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and trace out what I want. And then I may have to do some trimming anyway, just to get it to fit. And I only need up to like this first portion. So if I go like this, I can pretty much see that. And we're going to trim it up. If I can find my rulers. I guess I'll just use this one. So this one would go here and right there. Like that. And over here. And then all I'm going to do is test it. So I do need to trim it down. So all I'm going to do is just keep trimming little bits to get it to fit. So I know I'm good at the back end here, so it's the sides I need to thin out. So I'm going to stay right at the back. And we'll take off this little bit. That's a little better. I just need a smidge off this side. I dropped it. So that looks pretty good like there. And then if I just lay it down, I can see how much I just need a little off the bottom. We'll start there. A little more. Remember, less is more because you can't add it back once you cut it too small. Not too bad. I need to take a little more off this side, so that's why it doesn't look even. And I think that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the top and stick them down. And I want to go ahead and work on creating a base for this, for like part of my scenery. And I picked up this little rat at Walmart, but I also saw them at the dollar store. So I'm going to use this guy. I had a cat in my collection somewhere, but I can't find what I did with the cat, and it was cute. I thought the cat would look cute there, so we're going to go ahead and put a rat in there, and then maybe at some point I'll find the cute little cat. And then I have these two little cauldrons, also from the dollar store, as well as these little brooms from the dollar store. So the brooms will end up going inside the bottom here. So it's kind of part of the witch parking. And then my cauldrons are going to go right up on top of this piece here. And then we'll figure out something fun for the top of the clock. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom piece there and then top. I'll probably add something to the very top just because I don't know exactly how I'm going to cover that yet. So I'd rather put some paper up there. So I'll go ahead and add that. I'll probably use a piece of this pattern to go on the top because it's supposed to be kind of like the night sky. So I'll do that. And then the bottom piece right there, I'll just go ahead and use the other half of the pumpkins because you're not even going to see it anyway, but I just want to finish it off. So let me get some of that stuff added and then we'll do our little base. So we're going to go ahead and create the base. So what I have here is two pieces that are 6 by 12. So originally a 12 by 12 sheet of chipboard cut in half. I'm going to layer these two up. I do have a little bit where it is not precisely even, and that's probably the chipboard. So I'm going to glue these two together and then I'm going to trim this up so it is nice and even. And then I'm going to wrap it in black cardstock and then that will be my base where this piece here will sit on. So as you can see, it comes all the way up to the back edge. And then, let's see, it's kind of hard to tell, but it'll come all the way up to the back edge right there. Whoops. And then it gives me a little bit of space, not a lot, because I don't want this to be extremely wide, but I want two pieces just for sturdiness. And then I'm going to make this black and I'll go ahead and add some pattern paper to that. And then I can go ahead and this gives my little mouse a place to go ahead and stand. So I went ahead, glued these two pieces together and evened off where it wasn't. I cut some finishing hinges and these are two of them at 12 by 1.5 and two at 6 by 1.5. So we're going to go ahead and add these on. And what did I do my scissors? So my tape doesn't go quite all the way, but I only need it to fit in on the edge. And then I also cut a piece that is 11 3/4 by 5 3/4, and then that will fit right over my hinges. So I'll get these added on. And then we can get to decorating, which will be the fun part. So let's start with, we'll do these ones first. So these are going to go just like that. So we'll do one side first. And where I have my score line is where I want the edge of this. So I'm following the points because I can see where those are. Just like everything else that we go ahead and cover. So that, and then I'm just going to burnish to get it to wrap nice. And I can take this one off. And like that. So that is wrapped nicely. And we'll do the other end. Oops. Just like that. And I do see I have a little overlap there, so just going to trim that. And there we go. And just burnish that all down. So I'm not quite sure how much is going to cover with that second piece, so I'm just going to, again with a Sharpie, just go in, just make sure that I'm going to have all that covered. And there we go. That needs a little trimming. Okay. Same thing. All right, so I have all that covered with the black Sharpie. And now I'll do the same thing with this one. So it'll go just like that. Might actually be easier to do this upside down just because it's such a long piece. So we'll do that instead. So I'm going right up to the score line and trimming anything that's overhang. Oops. There's that one. So as you can see, it is a good thing we did use the black Sharpie because it did not quite cover all the way. And then we'll do this side. Let's see. Just like that. And that looks good. And that needs a little trimming. There's that. And then this piece here, we're just going to go ahead and attach on just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece for the bottom. So you don't really need to see me add those. I'm just going to glue them on. And because this piece here is going on top, you want to make sure that you have all tape coverage through the whole thing. So if the piece itself kind of rocks, the paper is not going to give, because if your paper starts to lift up, it's going to tear. So you want to make sure you have a good solid tape or glue or both all over to this back side here. That way when it is sitting, it won't lift. All right, so the base is all covered with the black cardstock, and I decided I want to use this because I figure with all these color combinations, this looks nice. So I cut this at 11 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I'm just going to center it to this space here. Again, I am going to fully cover this in tape. That way, again, like I said, the lifting won't happen. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and then I'll show you how to attach the whole piece to the base. Okay, so what I did with this, because this is 12 inches, I made a little mark with pencil at 12 inches, so it'd be in the middle. And the back of this piece here, so where these two are here, I know this is the middle. However, if you did not do it just like this, just measure from end to end and then use the middle. And what you're going to do is make the middle of this line up, and this is going to be hard to see, but the middle of this line up with your little tick mark, and you're going to put it all the way to the back. So I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to hot glue it. So once that's lined up there, I'm going to also add hot glue to the bottom of my little tower pieces, and I want to make them come up even. So once I put the hot glue on, I'm just going to turn these so this will come even here, and this guy will go even on this side right there. So I know this is not going to show on camera very easily, so I'll do my best. So my hot glue should be all done. I'm going to lean this forward. And I put the hot glue setting on like super hot. That way it's going to stay more, it's not going to dry so quick, so I can get some hot glue on here. And as you can see, or you might be able to see, it is steaming hot. So I need to go fast quickly and be careful that I don't burn myself. And I don't want to go too much on those center pieces because I don't want them to spread too much hot glue. So I'm going to turn it this way just because it's easier to see. Where's my pencil? There's my pencil. Okay, that looks good. So what I did was, that is so hot, even the base is hot. So I was able to manipulate these pieces here as I was setting it on. So you can see now the base here. These line up right there and right here. So it gives me a good little area here so this little guy can hang out. And then my brooms will be back there and my cauldron's on the top. And the rest is just actual decoration. So for the most part, this is done, other than creating, you can see right in there, and then right up there. So other than decorating, this piece is actually done and ready to go. So I'm going to add decorations to it. I'm not going to go too much involved in my decorations just because you may or may not get the same ones, but you'll get the idea. So if you just go and pick up the cute little Halloween decorations that are at the dollar store, Walmart, craft stores, wherever, because right now they are out, so you can go ahead and grab those. So he's going to go there. Again, my little brooms will go in here. And my little cauldrons are going to go on the top, which you can't see. But for the most part, I think it's pretty good. I'm probably going to add some kind of a viney, leafy texture here. So I might go ahead and cut out something to go ahead and do that. But I'll show you that if I do that. I don't think I have anything at the store I could get. Although I think my store sells some green leafy, black leafy garland for Halloween. So I might actually even put that on there. But we'll see. And maybe even some paper flowers that I can make out of the paper collection. That way I know they will match too. But anyway, he's kind of cute. Alright, so I picked up some supplies at Michael's. So I got this black leafy garland. And this is the leafy garland I got. And just in case you need to know, SKU number 666281. Right there. So I got the garland. It has glitter, so my desk is literally covered in glitter right now. I also picked up this little pumpkin and this little pumpkin pick, 669721. And this I think matches the paper kind of well. And then I just had some random pumpkins of my own. And I also picked up this Happy Halloween pumpkin. And it's also a pick. 669680. So I got this cute little guy. I think he might go on the top. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to use this, but I did pick up a witch hat, SKU 669664. And I thought that was cute. So I didn't know if I could do a little scenery at the top with the pumpkin and stuff like that. So what I did right now was I went ahead and cut a piece. And let's see here. So I'm going to hot glue this on, kind of going down and around like this right here. So I will show you that when I am done. Alright, so I went ahead and I hot glued everything on. So you might notice this is a different camera setup, but that is because I have run out of room for this puppy because it is huge. So let me just walk you through what I did do. So I went ahead and added all of these black, let me move a little closer. So I added all of this black leafy garland stuff, and I also had some of these Halloween eyeballs that I got last year. They're a Michael's brand. I think they're coming out with something this year similar to that. I think there were actually other colors I saw. But anyway, these are recollections, and these eyeballs were from last year's Halloween collection. And then my little rat on the bottom here. Let me get you down. So I have This little rat, got him at Walmart, so he is not glued down, but the pumpkin he's holding over is, and then his hands are kind of around it, so that way he will stay in position. And then behind him is the little cauldron, which are the same ones at the top with the little pumpkin, and then the little brooms from the dollar store. So I hot glued the cauldron on, that way my brooms won't fall and I can keep them kind of propped up here like they are. And I just did the 3 of them, and then I used some of the black seam binding, and I went ahead and covered it over with that. And then I added a pumpkin to the cauldron right there. And if we go up to the top, up here I hot glued down these little pumpkins. Those ones were from Michael's. And again, the dollar store cauldrons. They're supposed to be little treat containers, so I just picked up those. And then, of course, my clock, so we can give you a full look at the whole thing now. So, let's see. And I'll get a size on it. I'll have it in the preview, exactly how tall this is. But if you go around to the side here, you can see the back side. That looks pretty just like that. And then over here, this opens up. I didn't put paper on the inside because it's supposed to be closed all the time. But this is where my clock mechanism is. So that is back there. Yeah, go all the way around so you can see the unique angle. And there we go. That is that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. This was a lot of work, but a lot of fun, and don't be intimidated by it. Hopefully you make this and tag me in it. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye.